Well, thank you for watching this tutorial. Our goal in doing this is to get our organization ready for virtual mediations. So much has changed in the last few months, and we want to make sure that we can adapt as best as possible to the situation. And so I want to give a special thanks to all of you, our mediators, for your willingness to jump into this, to learn something new, and to help us meet the demands of the courts and community going forward. We don't know exactly what the demand is going to look like for virtual mediation, but we want to make sure that we are as ready as possible. So this video is going to take you through the basics of once mediation is scheduled, how do you participate, how do you lead a mediation online through Zoom. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this is helpful. So here's what it looks like, the virtual agreement to participate form. This, as I said, gets signed before the mediation. After the parties sign it, it comes to the mediators. You'll get an email. It'll say, please DocuSign agreement to participate in mediation. And fee agreement, if it's a court case, there'll be no fee agreement because all the court mediations that we do are free of charge. If it's a community case, there will be a fee agreement. So let's take a look at the document. You click Review Document. And the first thing that you do is you have to click I agree to use electronic records and signatures. You see it's from MetroWest Mediation. It says please sign these forms prior to your first mediation. So you check that box and you press Continue. This agreement is what we're using for a divorce mediation, so it will look slightly different when it's for a community or a court case. But you press Start, and it'll immediately jump you to where you need to sign. You'll see that the parties have already signed it. So the parties have their name, they've electronically signed it, and the date. And then you, as the mediator, will press Sign. If this doesn't automatically populate, you will just type it in. And you'll see a preview. And you'll see that it has automatically put in your signature, and it brings you to the next place. This next page is new, and this is an agreement to participate online that we've added. And there's several important parts to it. So the first is that everyone's agreeing, parties and mediators, that there'll be no audio or video recording of sessions. This is really important for confidentiality, and so everyone's agreeing to not record this in any way. There'll be no pictures or screenshots, so either through using the screenshot function on the computer or taking a picture with a phone, everyone's agreeing that they will not do that unless there's permission granted. So if someone has there's a budget, or if someone has a document that they're okay with someone getting a photo of, that's okay, but express permission needs to be provided. This is also important, no one else present. So that means that there's no one else in the room or nearby who could possibly hear or see the session. If they're nearby, then they would be a party in the mediation due to confidentiality. So everyone's agreeing that there'll be no one else present in the room or near the room, and make all reasonable efforts to ensure that no other person has the ability to hear any part of the conversation. So it brings you down to where you need to be, and you press Sign, and it's already gotten your signature, so that's taken care of. And then you'll see it says Finish. This is the fee agreement, our sliding fee scale that the parties sign, not the mediators. This is used for our divorce and community cases. But if this is a court case, as I said before, there'll be no fee agreement because court cases are free to the parties. Once you're done with that, you press Finish. And then if you have a co-mediator, it'll get sent to them and they'll sign it as well. If not, it comes back to our organization's records, so we have the agreement to participate. You can choose to save a copy of it. Now we're going to talk about how to get into the mediation itself. So we're going to do the scheduling on our end, and you will receive an email that says the date and time of the mediation. We'll ask that 10 minutes prior to the scheduled start of the mediation, you join, and we are asking you to join for a few reasons, which I'll get to, but be sure that you're there before the parties. You're going to want to make sure your video and audio are all set, and then we're going to enable something called a waiting room for the parties so that they'll join together, so one won't be there before the other one. So please get there Please join at least 10 minutes beforehand. And to join, you'll see the invitation has a when and a where. You're going to go down. The where is the virtual link. It says zoom.us, and the meeting ID and the password. All you have to do is click, and Zoom will open. If it's your first time running Zoom, there'll be the button, an icon that pops up and says run. You press run. You're going to see a video preview before joining, and this is important just to make sure that the video camera's facing the right direction. A few points about professional appearance. We're going to want to look similar to court in terms of our dress, in terms of the professionalism of how we look. You also now need to be aware of the background that's appearing. You're going to want it to be to fit two criteria. One, to be not distracting at all, and two, to just have nothing controversial. We want to maintain the neutrality and professionalism of the program. So, a blank wall or a wall with some pictures behind it, just something that is not distracting to the parties, so that the focus is on them and is on their situation. You're going to press join with video, and it's going to bring you into the mediation room. Let's talk about the audio. You have two options for the audio. One, you can use your computer's audio, or you can call in and use a phone. If you're using computer audio, you want to test your speaker and microphone. It'll play a little sound. If you hear the ringtone, press yes, and then you're going to talk and you'll hear yourself. And then you're going to talk and you'll hear yourself. If you hear yourself, you press yes. That means everything's okay. Your speaker and microphone are working. You can join with computer audio. If it's not working, you're going to want to call in, and so you'll dial one of these numbers. You put in your meeting ID, your participant ID, and the password. We're going to join with computer audio. And then you are in Zoom. You can make your picture full screen, so I'd recommend you make it full screen so you can see all the parties once they come in. Okay, so now that you're in the mediation room, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to need to let Zoom know that you are the mediator, that you are the host of the mediation. Once you let Zoom know that you're the host of the mediation, you'll have more controls, and we'll walk through those controls. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to go click on participants. You'll see 3 dots right over here. You're going to click on the 3 dots, and you're going to click claim host. This is going to let Zoom know that you are the one who should have authority for running the session. So you're going to put in the host code. And then you'll see next to your name, it will say host. Now when you go down, there's a few other options that pop up. The first one is security. And I want to talk about Zoom security for a second because it's something that you might have heard about in the news, concerns about Zoom security, some organizations not using Zoom. After there have been a lot of news articles and so forth, Zoom added more functionality, and they added this security button within the session itself so that you can have more control over the security of the session. With this update, it gives us confidence that we're able to use Zoom in a way that'll meet our organization's needs. So there's a few things that you're going to do. First, the first thing that you do is you're going to click Enable Waiting Room. The waiting room is going to make it so that anyone else after you who tries to join the session is going to get an indicator on their screen that they're in a waiting room and that they're going to be joined in when the host is ready, when you are ready. The reason that we're doing this is because we don't want one party coming in before the other party. Similar to an actual in-person mediation where you don't want one party sitting with the mediators before the other one comes in because of concerns about neutrality. So too in this virtual mediation, we're going to wait for both parties to show up, and you'll be notified when both parties have shown up, and then we're going to let them in together. So number one is enable the waiting room. The next thing that you're going to do for security is you're going to click chat so that it's not checked off. Zoom has chat functions where participants can talk to each other. They could talk to you through chat. We don't want that to be happening. We want all the conversation to be happening verbally. We don't want parties chatting you privately as the mediator. similar to how we wouldn't want a party to pass a note in the mediation. If there's something to be said, it can be said in the private session or it can be said all together. We're going to make sure that chat is unchecked. We're going to leave share screen checked. What this does is it lets parties, if they have any documents they want to show the other side, evidence, something that they feel is compelling for their case, they can share that. Also rename themselves so that if they come in and the name that is on Zoom isn't what they want to be called, they can rename themselves what they want to be called. Your co-mediator comes, or when anyone comes and you've enabled waiting room, you're going to see in the participants, manage participants icon, the number will increase. You'll also hear a little tone to indicate that someone has entered the waiting room. And to let them in, so if it's your co-mediator, you're going to want to let them in. Eric's my co-mediator for this session, so if you hover over their name, you can press admit, and then they will join. So once you've had your co-mediator enter the room, the next step is to make them a co-host for the mediation. So I want to make Eric a co-host, and that'll give him all the controls that I have as well. So I'm going to go over to participants, hover over his name, then you see more, and you can make co-host. So I'm going to click make co-host. Says, do you want to make Eric Green the co-host of this meeting? I press yes, and then he has the same functionality that I have. Okay, so you can see that the first party has joined. We're going to wait until both parties are in the waiting room before letting them in, so that parties feel like we're being neutral. We're not spending more time with one party than the other. And so once the second party joins, we'll let them both in at the same time. You also have the option to message everyone in the waiting room. And if you go to message, let's say that only one party is there. We see that both parties are there now. But you could just send everyone a quick message so that they know that you're there, and it'll just be another moment or so. So now that both parties are here, we're able to press admit all, and that's going to bring them both into the mediation session at the same time. We want to thank you both for coming to mediation. A few logistics before we get started. I just want to make sure, first, everyone can hear me okay?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. And I just want to make sure everyone's mic is working. So Kenny, I heard you. Amy?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. So everyone is here and can talk and hear what we're saying. I want to talk about two things. If you're new to Zoom, you might want to become familiarized with different video views. So on the top right of the screen, you'll see speaker view, or if you've clicked speaker view, then it'll show gallery view. Speaker view and gallery view are the two options for how you can participate in this mediation. If it's on speaker view, then whoever's talking will show up large and everyone else will be at the top of the screen. And of course, if you're the one talking, then someone else will be showing up. But let's say Eric starts, welcomes everyone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to mediation.
So now you see that Eric has come into the large window. The other option, gallery view, shows everyone at an equal size. So it's really up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with. Sometimes it's nice to be able to see the other party to get those nonverbal cues that we like as mediators. As the host or co-host of the meeting, you are able to mute a party. This is something that we are not going to do as mediators in any circumstances. So it might be appealing if someone's interrupting to just go over and press, Kenny's talking. Wouldn't it be great to just mute Kenny so I can only, so I listen to the other party. If someone interrupts, we're gonna deal with it just as we would in a normal mediation session. They can choose to mute themselves, and if they mute themselves, then that means that we won't be able to hear them or any background noise. So that's their prerogative. Your co-mediator might choose to mute themselves as well, so that there's no sound coming from their end when they're not talking, but we're never going to be the ones to mute a party. The other thing I wanted to mention is video. So right now, both Kenny and Amy are on video. If one party is on video and the other one isn't, then we're going to have, we'll ask the other party to get off of video. In order to be neutral and fair, if we're able to see one party, but we can't see the other, that could cause bias from the mediator. So we'll ask everyone to be on video or both parties to not be on video. So we're going to explain the mediation session to the parties as we normally would, but there's a few things that we're going to add. So when we talk about private sessions, we're going to let them know how that's going to work. So thank you for coming to mediation. We'll start off in a joint session altogether to hear what's going on, and then we may choose to meet with you in a private session. The way that's going to work is that we have the capacity to create breakout rooms on Zoom, and in the breakout room, we'll be able to speak privately with each of you. And we'll make sure that we have a chance to speak privately with both of you, and then we'll come back together all together. So we want to kind of let you know that that's part of the process today. If you reach an agreement at the end of this session, we'll be able to type it up and share it with you on the screen so you can see it. And if it looks good and everyone's okay with it, within a day, you will get a copy through DocuSign, so you can actually have a signed copy.
In a Zoom mediation, we're all agreeing not to record the meeting here today, and we're all agreeing that only the folks that have signed the agreement to participate are going to be present in the mediation session, and no screenshots or photos are going to be allowed in Zoom mediation.
So a word about note-taking with virtual mediations. If you choose to take notes by hand, just remember eye contact with the party so you're not looking down all the time as you're taking notes. It might help if you want to just pull up a Word document and have it on the side of the screen if you're trying to take notes. It's a little easier with speaker view, and you can just take notes during the mediation if that's helpful as well. So now we're at the part of the mediation where we're going to take private sessions, but before we do that, you're going to want to have a mediator's break with your co-mediator. So I'm going to show you how to go into the mediator's break and then go into private session with the parties. You're going to come down here to where it says breakout rooms. You're going to want to assign participants into breakout rooms. You're going to create 3 different rooms. So one room is going to be for you and your co-mediator, and then there'll be a room each for each of the parties, and then you and your co-mediators will go between those rooms, so you'll be able to have private conversations. You're going to press manually so that you assign them manually. Press create rooms. In the first room, I'm going to put Eric as my co-mediator. The second room, I'm going to put the first party, and the third room, I'm going to put the second party. And we're going to press open all rooms. I'm going to join breakout room number 1 with my co-mediator. Okay, so here we are in our mediator's break, and we're able to have a private conversation. So Eric, who do you think we should meet with first?
For sure, Kenny.
Okay, so if we're going to meet with Kenny first, we're going to go to breakout rooms. You see Kenny's in breakout room 3, Amy's in breakout room 2. Before we meet with Kenny, we're going to want to make sure that we send a message to let Amy know that we'll be with her shortly, just as we would in an in-person mediation, go out into the hallway, talk to the party, say we're going to meet with the other party first. Thank you for your patience. So we're going to send a message. We're going to broadcast that. And then both Eric and I can also do this for Eric. In fact, maybe I'll do that now. I'm going to move Eric into breakout room 3, and I'm going to join breakout room. So here we are in breakout room 3. We're able to have a private session just with Kenny. Okay, Kenny, it was nice. Thank you for sharing with us. Eric and I are going to now meet with the other party, and we'll either come back and meet with you privately again or bring you both back into the joint session. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back. I'm going to move Eric to the room where Amy is, and I'm going to join breakout room 2 as well. And here we are in a private session with Amy, and we're able to talk with her privately. At this point, Eric and I can either go back into another private session with Kenny, or we can bring them back together. I'm going to show you how to bring them back together. So we go to breakout rooms, and what we're going to just do is press close all rooms. That means everyone's going to come back into the same joint session. Well, I want to thank you for all your hard work today, and in the private sessions and through our conversation, you were able to reach an agreement. So we drafted it up based on what we heard. What we want to do is share it with you to make sure it looks okay, and let us know if you have any comments. So we're going to use the share screen functionality here. This is going to let the participants see something that we've drafted up, the agreement that we've drafted up. So we're going to press share screen and we're going to find what we want to share. So this is the agreement form that we drafted up for the parties so they can all see this. When you're sharing your screen, the video image has changed, so now you'll see everyone in smaller boxes. So we'll make sure we check with the parties that this is the agreement that they want, and the parties have confirmed that this is the agreement that they want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the share. So now we're at the point where we want to share the agreement form that we've typed up with the parties. So right away they'll have a copy of the agreement. Afterwards they'll get a copy to sign, and what'll happen is you as the mediators will send a copy of the agreement to us, and we'll send it out through DocuSign for them to sign. But it's nice for them to get a copy of the agreement as is. So first thing you need to do is make sure that in security you re-enable chat, because you're going to send it through the chat feature. This is the one time in the mediation when we're going to want chat to be enabled. So now chat's enabled, and I'm going to click on chat. I'm going to click on file. I'm going to find the document, and I'm going to send it. And now both Amy and Kenny are able to open, if they click on chat, they'll see that I sent the agreement form, and they'll be able to download it. So I want to thank you all for attending mediation. And in addition to the agreement form that you're going to get, your agreement that you can officially sign through DocuSign, you'll get an evaluation form and a participant demographic form that's helpful for our organization. So we ask, it's voluntary, but we ask that you please fill those out. So thank you again for your participation, and have a great day.